Alright guys, so I'm finally getting around to messing with this Ryobi cultivator, and it does need a little bit of work. I have not decided just yet what exactly I'm going to do with this as far as keeping it or selling it goes. If I keep it, it would be nice to have it to use for if I want to plant a garden at my new house. And if I want to sell it, I don't really know how much it's worth, but I do know it's worth more than this weed whacker that I picked up. And I found this in the trash. Might pick up some parts off of it to put them on here because it's pretty much the same motor. But aside from that, this thing came off of the back of that. And if you guys remember, I got this tiller missing this part here. But I had this as well as a new air or a cleaner air filter in the Horde. So that's nice. That'll be an easy swap. The primer bulb not only needs to be hooked up, but it also needs to be replaced. I do have an extra one that I will be using, so I'm just gonna push these two tangs in and pop her out like so. So here's the new used one, and we'll just go ahead and throw it in place. So now I've got to reroute these fuel lines properly. This bottom one here that goes from this part of the tank down here and to the back underneath the carb, that one is routed correctly. However, this one is not. It's actually supposed to go into the primer bulb and then out of the primer bulb and into the top of the carburetor. So we'll go ahead and address that. And so now I'm just rerouting the new line. I stuck a small piece of new line up here in the top. And the next and probably last thing I'm going to do is to inspect and replace the gaskets, diaphragms that are underneath that square plate right there. Just 4 Phillips head screws, pull those off, pull the plate off, and you can get to the diaphragm gaskets. And as I said, it was easy enough to pull it off. There's the plate, here's the new diaphragm and base gasket, and here's the old one. Definitely needs to be changed. So it's simple enough to change, not a huge deal. I just got to pull off this base ribbed gasket off and throw the new one on, throw the plate back on with the screws, and should be good to go. So I'll go over with you guys what we did to this thing to get it working again. Replaced all the fuel lines. The thing with the fuel lines is I accidentally put them on backwards on the primer bulb, so I switched them around, and works fine now. The air filter and box are now installed, as you guys can see. It's got a new used primer bulb and new carburetor diaphragm that's been installed. So this thing works good enough. I'll go ahead and buy some new tines for it. So I think we're going to be in luck with this thing. First, let me go ahead and put our filter back on. Well, let's throw it on half choke because it is kind of warm out right now. Primer up a few times. Let's pull the cord and see what happens. Idle speed needs to be adjusted a little bit, but other than that, I'm pretty happy with that. I also pissed off a mound of fire ants. You guys can see that. I don't want to get too close to these fuckers. They bite. I'll deal with them after the video. But as far as this thing goes, I'm happy it works. I knew it was going to work, or at least turn over, because you guys remember when I first got it, I put some starting fluid in it rather. It started up just fine. So I'm happy with how this thing turned out. I really am. I haven't decided yet. I don't know how much it's worth. I got to check that just to see. But I might end up keeping this thing for myself. If I ever want to plant a garden, this would be perfect. So until next time, boys, you all stay classy.